Mr. Speaker, this is a tough one for me. Have some patience here. January 5th, 1993. That's a day I'll never forget. I was working as a geologist, environmental consulting firm. We were on a drilling project, large manufacturing auto plant. We were finishing up. There were several boring holes we had to drill to take soil samples to define the extent of contamination that we already knew was out there. But the last couple borings were in a difficult spot because they were underneath power lines and we couldn't get a truck-mounted rig in there. The project was kind of drawn out. It was long. We were already over budget, needed to get done. Out of the mothballs come an old machine, handheld, controlled, to finish the work. The machine probably should have never been out there. No, I shouldn't even say probably. It should have never been out there. It was a substandard machine that had taken its toll over many, many years and hadn't been used in several years. But we took it out there, and I was working with the driller, and we were done getting our soil samples. And as we were reversing the auger, pull them out for the last time, the wire got attached to the auger because of all the shaking that was going on, because we didn't have braces in there because they were worn out. They just weren't in there, so the machine really wasn't operating like it should have been. It allowed some pegs to come loose, and in that peg, if you imagine a wire coat hanger unraveled, it tangled around there. So when the augers came above ground, it swung around, it snagged my jacket sleeve. My arm got turned backwards. And I'll never forget, this was 32 years ago. I'll never forget, just like it happened last week, my very first thought as I laid there when the machine stopped. My head and shoulder was next. My arm was wrapped around. My elbow was completely disconnected. A tissue between my bicep and my wrist was splattered out, saturated in blood because I was in an arterial bleeding situation. It's bleeding like a water hose. And I was attached to the machine, and I remember looking out in the field saying, crap, I'm going to die today. And then I turned and looked at my driller. He was in shock. He didn't know what to do. So my second thought was, no, I'm not going to die today. Even though the one man that could help me was really having a difficult time. For some reason, I still can't explain it this day, other than maybe it was grace of God. I became a star. I did something great. I got calm. I had to calm him down. I still don't know how I did it to this day. And then I heard a golf cart riding behind me. And I knew what that golf cart was because we were at a major manufacturing facility and there was a big construction project going on, not affiliated with what we were doing, but they were there. And in a calm voice, knowing I had first aid training, knowing that I really needed to be calm because I was in an arterial bleeding situation, the only way that I wasn't going to bleed out is to try to stay as calm as I could be. I told my friend Mike, just holler 911 as loud as you can. Thank God they heard us. I was able to get first responders to my side very quickly. We did an awesome job. I was still attached to the machine, what was left of my arm. So they had to turn it on again to get me off of it before they could move me. I remember telling them, please make sure it's in reverse. After that, I got my first helicopter ride. I was awake the whole time, was fighting, stay calm. When I was in that helicopter ride, I could hear the dispatch talking to the EMS team, and we were changing our direction. We were headed to trauma center at University Hospital in Louisville, and we switched it over to Jewish, where Coots and Kleinert and the world famous arm surgeons were. And I heard them tell them that I was stable. For the first time, I knew I had a chance. And everything started hurting. I was able to block off the pain prior to that because I was fighting for my life. And I'm sorry I'm telling this story today, but if you didn't know this is why these bills mean so much to me. That accident was a direct result of an unsafe workplace that I was put into. Should have never happened. OSHA standards were violated that day, and I won't get into what those were, and my employer was duly cited for it. As a result, that substandard machine was never used again. But my life changed forever. You know, when you're going through, at that young age, I was 28 years old. At that young age, when you're going through something traumatic like that, it's a major challenge. There's all kinds of things you have to get through, things that you might not ever think of. You know, the question I always get asked is, were you right-handed? Yeah, I was right-handed. That was my dominant arm, but really that pales in comparison to just having one arm in a two-arm world. Because you learn, you adapt, you learn how to use the other arm eventually. Sucked at first, but but what really pales in comparison to all the physical impairments that you have every day. I get up every day short-handed. You know, I have to figure out a way to outwork others that I compete against because I can't do the same physical things that my competition can. So you have to be great. And when you walk around at that young age and you're walking through grocery stores or retail centers and people are staring at you because you look different, and when you get eye contact with them and they look down real quick because they don't want to be disrespectful, those things wear on you. I remember getting up and looking in the mirror thinking I'm a freak. And how hard that was to deal with at that young age. I was really lucky. I was lucky because I had a strong support system around me. And when I laid there attached to that machine, I thought, oh my God, my mom and dad's going to really have a hard time losing their young son. And my girlfriend, I'm not going to be able to tell her how much I really loved her. Luckily for me, she didn't run off. She's now my wife of 32 years. Some of you know her. The big reason why I've had the successes in my life is because she's believed in me. All the physical challenges that people like me have every day pale in comparison to the mental challenges. When you become disabled at a midpoint in your life, and those mental challenges are so much harder to deal with. 32 years now, I still deal with them every now and then. I still have bad days. But you got to keep going. You got to take the medicine that really makes you succeed. And that medicine, I remember standing here on this floor talking about the medical cannabis bill. And I made a very simple comment, but it was very profound. And what I said was the best possible medicine that somebody with a disability or a chronic illness or disease can have is happiness. Because any drug you ever take just makes you feel better so you can get up and be great. Self-confidence, self-esteem, having faith and hope that you can be great and get other people to do great things despite what your impairments are. This is a very important message this body needs to hear. We need to be working on things and investing in things that provide pathways to self-sustainability.